Jim Bowden dropped his top 50 free agent list and fits on Monday, and we're here to break it down where he thinks the Twins landed on the list, where I think the Twins land on the list. So let's get going. Get strapped in. Let's get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to another edition of Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warne. I have been watching the Twins for 30 plus years, covering them for about half that long in some form or fashion via print, digital, you name it, I've done it. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. And of course, it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. If you are an everydayer, we love to hear from you. Love that you're checking out Rational Twins Talk. We'll hang out with you in the comments on YouTube. Love to get 5 stars, a thumbs up, a subscribe, a like. All that stuff is great for the show. If you are looking for anything else that I do, I also do some writing on the Access Twins newsletter and on the Daily Norseman. On today's episode, Jim Bowden has put out his best fits for the top 50 MLB free agents, and we're going to break them down. He's got 3 players he thought were fits for the Twins. A left-handed outfielder. I wonder if the Twins have ever had any of those. A left-handed first base / outfielder, more first base than anything, and a pitcher who's kind of a swingman type in his mid-30s. We'll talk about all of it here, but first, before we get to any of that, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So, dropping on Monday, Jim Bowden here to be referenced as Ralph dropped his list of the top 50 free agents and where he thinks their best fits are and what he thinks those contracts will look like. Twins in a tricky spot for this offseason, at least as far as we know. We don't know how the Twins view themselves. I know how I view the Twins. I view the Twins as a team that can still be decent with the right moves this offseason, and decent is enough to compete in the AL Central. The Guardians have lost one of their very important coaches. Craig Albornoz has been hired to manage the Orioles. They're going to be same as it ever was in a period of transition, putting a team around Jose Ramirez, who may be getting increasingly discontent at how they're building a team. The Tigers are coming off a solid season, but a pretty big drop-off at the end. Jack Flaherty's a free agent. They've got some questions of if they will keep Tarek Skubal. If you don't keep Tarek Skubal, I don't know what you're even doing if you're the Detroit Tigers. But this is not Locked On Tigers. Go talk to someone else about that. So I think the Twins can still compete. Yes, I saw how they played in the second half. Yes, I saw they traded 40% of their roster at the trade deadline. I don't care. Keep Joe Ryan. Keep Pablo Lopez. Keep Bailey Ober. I have no problem with that. I don't know that that's that controversial. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But when I look at this Twins roster, I see enough payroll space to do enough to make this team respectable next year with some room to maybe overachieve. The 3 players that Jim Bowden has the Twins going after are, and I'll tell them to you in order. First, Bowden has the Twins as a fit for outfielder Trent Grisham, the number 24 free agent on the top 50 list, followed by number 27, Ryan O'Hearn, and finally, number 39, Nick Martinez. That's formerly of Jeff Carr's Cincinnati Reds. I talked to Jeff Carr a little bit about Nick Martinez, and we'll get into those comments too here in a little bit. But Grisham, left-handed outfielder, has played almost exclusively center field in his big league career. Certainly wouldn't be the case in Minnesota, but turns 29 on Saturday, so the day after Halloween. Not a surprise, too, that Bowden does not have the Twins as a fit for any of the top 23 free agents, top 20, top whatever top list you want to do. Based on what we know and don't know, budget-wise, it's really hard to say, oh, yeah, the Twins are going to be in play for someone like Zach Gallen. We don't know if the Twins want to trade Pablo Lopez, trade Joe Ryan, or keep those guys. If you keep those guys, do you really have room for one of those guys like Zach Gallen in the first place? Do you want to take the risk on the money? Because the projected money is absolutely bananas for Gallen. There's just a lot of questions that we can't really answer right now. So I think the prudent approach that I'll give Bowden credit for is having the Twins shopping more to the middle of the pack, towards the back of the pack. Now, middle of the top 50, it's still middle of a list of capable, competent big league players. So I don't want to downplay the fact that they would be targeting a guy like Trent Grisham, who had a really, really nice 2025 season. Ryan O'Hearn was an all-star. Nick Martinez has been pretty dang solid for the Reds, and pretty dang solid in general since coming back from Japan a few years ago. So Grisham, the projected contract that Ralph has for him is 2 years, $30 million. Now, it's 2 years for Grisham, 2 years for O'Hearn, and 1 year for Martinez. Martinez is 35, so not shocking. He gets 1 year. That's kind of the sweet spot for Derek Falvey operations. They like their guys on shorter term, less risky deals. An age 29 center fielder for 2 years at $15 million per, coming off hitting 34 homers, taking a bunch of walks, and being a 3-win player, no matter which WAR you prefer. I mean, that's a pretty dang solid concept. I don't know that the Twins need another left-handed outfielder. He is, though, better than Trevor Larnach. Probably is better than Matt Wallner. He's been a capable / pretty dang good defensive center fielder. And again, if you move him to a corner, he's probably going to be, I think, in due time, give him some time to learn whether it's the right field overhang or just left field in general at target field. I think you'd be looking at a very nice, very solid corner outfield option. Maybe not quite Gold Glove, but certainly not cover your eyes bad. And then you have built-in insurance against anything with Buxton. You'd still have the ability to roster someone like Austin Martin, who also is good fourth outfielder / built-in center field insurance. Some other Grisham stuff that I pulled. He's kind of a victim of the Yankees wanting to always aim higher. Grisham, perfectly great player that teams should want. Meanwhile, the Yankees are going to be looking to bring back Cody Bellinger, go get Kyle Tucker, something like that. I think that's like the Dodgers. Now, it's different, but understand that, like, instead of just giving James Outman a second season to show what he was capable of, the Dodgers are always looking to make improvements everywhere. And I mean, frankly, that's a way to operate, and they're in the World Series and they're up a game. So it's not any shade, but there are teams who can be opportunistic on the backside of that. And that's what I think the Twins need to be. I've seen some talk of, Grisham's a platoon outfielder. Well, he's hit lefties in the past. Not insanely so, but he's not completely embarrassingly bad against them. Slashed 235, 348, 464. So he's kind of like that 100-point on base, between the on base and batting average kind of guy. 12% career walk rate. Career hitter is 218, 321, 400. So he had a 129 weighted runs created plus in 2025. He was going backwards 93, 89, and 83 in previous years. That is, I mean, he's ebbed and flowed. He's had some good years and some bad in the middle, which, always is kind of tricky to analyze. Career strikeout rate this year, I believe, 25.8%. So a little over average, but nothing too insane. But yeah, plenty of pop in the bat. You put him in a corner, and if he's capable defensively, you've got a really nice player for 2 years at $15 million per. I think that those 3 years before 2025 are what keep his years down. But this is the kind of play the Twins need to make if they want to get an potential impact player in their budget. This, to me, kind of is giving me vibes of like Marcus Semien before he hit free agency and went to the Blue Jays. Now, the Blue Jays, he only got, I think it was a 1-year deal, and then he went to Texas. This is going to be a shorter term deal for Grisham to, if he puts together 2 more years like this one and hits free agency at age 31, then suddenly you're looking at a 5-year deal, probably in the $80 million range or something like that, maybe more. And maybe he doesn't want to go play a corner outfield spot to build value. But I think if there's anything he can do, I think the sooner he gets off center field, maybe the better, just because with the drop off this year, it makes you wonder a little bit. With that said, this to me would be a very good signing. And, honestly, kudos, hats off to Jim Bowden, because usually I don't really love his analysis, but this time I got to say, nice job. All right, let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we will talk about Ryan O'Hearn, all-star last year for the very, very disappointing Orioles, and then got flipped at the deadline to the Padres. Did not hit for as much power over there, but a good on-base guy. And let's just see what's under the hood with Ryan O'Hearn, but we'll be right back. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Didn't have one in the bag for the Wolves against Denver, but if you think you see one coming, hey, get some of that action on FanDuel. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. If you've seen people talk about SGPs, that's what they're talking about. And you can get a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when it's your team making that late-game push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Oh boy, caught a little coughing fit during the break there, but I promise you we're doing okay. Locked On Twins rolling again for segment number 2. We're talking Jim Bowden, top 50 free agents and their fits. Trent Grisham, number 24 overall free agent, so right in the middle of the pack. He's got the Twins as a fit for Grisham at 2 years and $30 million. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up there. I do think the Twins are fairly flush with left-handed outfielders. And they do have Emmanuel Rodriguez coming up, and they do have Walker Jenkins coming up. But if we've learned anything, it's that depth is important. And you don't want to force these kids out there just to play and sink or swim if you have any sort of aspirations of contending. We don't know that the Twins have that. I still think they should. I don't really see any reason to go into next season not putting together a team that can compete. So, second on the list, first base outfield hybrid, Ryan O'Hearn, number 27. Bowden, he has 2 years, $24 million. It's a left-handed hitting first base outfield type, not a great defender at either spot, but we did hear that about Ty France too, and Ty France had a pretty nice season. I think he's finalist for that glove with gold on it, so maybe there's something that could be worked on there. But O'Hearn turned 32 in July. He was 2.4 Baseball Reference WAR, 3.0 on Fangraphs. Has had some platoon stuff in his past, but had higher left-handed OPS against left-handed pitching this year than righty. So again, just not a complete zero. That's I think you have to be careful not to build a roster that's so intricately designed on platooning guys, because when one guy gets hurt, the other guy gets forced into action. So while I think it's, sensible to have two guys to help fill a role, and if you deploy it properly, it can be very, very good, there is still a lot of risk that maybe is not calculated into it when, we're thinking of it as fans. So 281, 366, 437 for O'Hearn. So not a ton of power, but this is basically what this would be like top end Ty France production from a few years ago. I think I had a 129 weighted runs created plus. I didn't have it written down, but he's got 3 straight years over 100. You may remember him coming up with the Royals, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I thought he had a good looking swing, and just never really put it all together there. Went to Baltimore. A lot of guys offensively had put it together in Baltimore in the past. And so walk rate, 10.5% for his career, 10.7% this season. He did have, though, kind of a weird 3-year lull in the middle of his career where it was 4 or 5%, like half what it is now, and still well below league average. So I don't know if I think the walk rate at 10%, this is the kind of guy where on a given day you could hit anywhere from first to eighth, really. If you have a really good offense and you've got a guy like Ryan O'Hearn hitting 7th, there's no shame in that whatsoever. And in an ideal 100th percentile world, you'd hope that the Twins had enough hitting to do that. But maybe this is also, too, what you'd hope Alan Roden becomes offensively. So I just think they do need an answer at first base, and I don't know if Roden is the answer. I think he could be an answer. But again, this whole exercise blows up if the Twins just say, we're not spending any money and we're trading everybody that's not nailed down. I'm choosing to operate under the assumption that would be egregiously disrespectful to Byron Buxton, and that the Twins won't do that. So Ryan O'Hearn, first base, you have an outfield glove in his bag if you ever need him out in right field or whatever. 2 years, $24 million. I think that's another very, very good value signing. The kind of thing where even if your season goes poorly, you can trade a guy like that, making that kind of money, and it has not completely ruined your window as far as budget and that sort of thing. So I think Ryan O'Hearn and Trent Grisham both fit, the Twins window right now. Finally, he had Jim Bowden had Nick Martinez at number 39. 1 year, $11 million. Martinez had 2.3 Baseball Reference WAR and 2.1 Fangraphs WAR last season. He turned 35 on August 5th. Feels to me a little more expensive Michael Lorenzen. The strikeouts weren't really there, really dropped off. But as a swingman, I don't know, though, 11 million. If he's going to start for you 11 million, okay. But then what did you do to the rest of your rotation? If you trade Joe Ryan or Pablo, then it makes little to no sense to go get Nick Martinez, to me. With that said, Jeff Carr said, good leader, good clubhouse guy. And Twins certainly need some veteran leadership. They're going to be a young team. Just what role does Martinez fill at that price? It doesn't really work for me. If that's the price, Zach Littell is the same guy, but younger. They have Zach Littell, I believe, at same number. 1 year, $10 million is what Bowden had. So I would take Littell at that number. I don't know if Littell still has any ill will towards the Twins or if that was a overblown thing. However, Bowden also has Brandon Woodruff and Jack Flaherty at 2 years, $22 million. So the same cost, but with a second year. Jose Quintana at $5 million for 1 year. Twins don't really need a 3 or 4 starter at that cost, do they? Maybe a swingman. But again, I just think I'm not really seeing it. He's got a really good changeup, 112 stuff plus last year. Fastball is not that great. Not particularly, we love a post-Japan success story, but, the ERA too was a little bit misleading on Martinez. It was well over 4. FIP and everything else were kind of like, not that bad. I don't know. I mean, I think there's value. I think Martinez would be a great signing for somebody. Just not sure it's the Twins. Again, I think at similar money at like Woodruff or Flaherty, even if you got to give them a second year. Otherwise, what are you doing? Are you pushing Zebby or Simeon Woods Richardson out of your rotation? I don't see the value there. So that one's more of a thumbs down. We'll give that one a thumbs down. But I still am all systems go on the 2 offensive players that Bowden is suggesting. All right, let's take our final pause. Hopefully I can get my cough under control. And then I want to go over some of the guys I was looking at. And then we'll talk about some of the relievers and if they make sense at the numbers that they're listed. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between the queues, the login screens, and the prices jumping at checkout. It's super frustrating. That is why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans like you and me. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee that you will always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I found Vikings tickets right where I wanted to sit and at a price that I was very, very happy with. Lower level seats for under $100. How much better can you do than that? Super simple to buy in the app. And I love the seat views. Let me know where I'm going to sit and what I'm going to see, whether it's a ball game, a concert, you name it. I want to know what I'm going to see. And again, all in pricing from the beginning of the transaction to the end of the transaction. I know what I'm going to spend, and I love that for me, and I love that for you. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Yeah, just a pro tip. Do not swallow wrong when you are rolling solo on a podcast. But Locked On Twins back for the third segment. Trying to hold it together here. We talked about Jim Bowden, Ralph, suggesting that the Twins were good fits for outfielder Trent Grisham, thumbs up. First base outfielder Ryan O'Hearn, thumbs up. Nick Martinez, probably thumbs down. My list from the top 50, I started at the bottom. Paul Goldschmidt at 1 year and $10 million. Leadership, right-handed hitting, good defense. You could do worse. I don't know that would be a fit he'd be looking for or the Twins, but I would definitely make the call. Miguel Andujar, number 47. I don't know if I said Goldie was 49. Miguel Andujar, 1 year, $5.5 million. Andujar, right-handed hitting, lefty masher. There's going to be enough left-handed hitters in the Twins lineup that Andujar would have a role as the counterbalance to that. Not a standout fielder by any means, but third base, left field DH. And you do have the secret that if you need to trade him, the Yankees have locked in that you can trade him for anybody in baseball. Remember, it's Frazier and Andujar. Get you whatever you want. Kidding aside, Andujar as a righty, mashing lefties, I could see it. Number 29, Luis Arraez. 2 years, $30 million. I don't see the Twins being a buyer at that price, but 1 year, 12 to 14. Give me a reunion with Luis Arraez as a first baseman, leadoff batter, someone to get on base so that Byron Buxton has someone to drive in. Arraez and Buxton 1-2 would be a phenomenally fun top of the order. The vibes would be good. Big man upstairs knows the Twins need vibes. So Luis Ariz, not at 2-30, I don't think, but in something like that for 1 year, per that AAV of 15, I could see it. Again, a lot of this comes down to if they're going to spend money. Number 16, Shane Bieber. They have him getting $3.75 with an opt-out after each year. So the Sonny Gray contract. Bieber is 30. If you were going to try get another stalwart pitcher, the answer is in these next three guys. Bieber, $3.75. Michael King, who's number 13 on the list, same deal, no opt-outs. And number 11, Zach Gallen, who they have 5 for $135. After last year, I don't know that I see that. I know this Twins front office has long liked Zach Gallen. He's coming off a down year. But if you could sign any of those three guys to the Sonny Gray contract that he got from the Cardinals, that does shake your rotation out into, a phenomenal 1-2-3 with Lopez, Ryan, and whoever. Your last two spots are going to be filled by your best young guys. And then your bullpen is going to be filled by guys who didn't make it as starters, but will be, you'd think, really, really good as relievers. Zebby, Festa, Sim. The list is actually fairly sizable, and that's before you consider any sort of second-year leap from a Travis Adams or someone like that. So I'm not opposed to the idea of spending some money and some good money on a starting pitcher. It just, Nick Martinez does not land for me, not in any way, shape, or form. So if you can shop ace caliber pitchers with some risk for $25 million a year, I'd do it. I definitely would. I don't know who my favorite would be of those. I mean, Bieber pitching for the Twins and beating Cleveland would be probably pretty sweet. King is a phenomenal pitcher, just health risk. And Gallen, if Gallen had just a 1-year lull and comes back as good as he was, someone may get just an incredible deal on him. May as well be you, right? So Goldie, Andahar, Ariz, Bieber, King, and Gallen were my kind of list of the other guys. Again, thumbs up on Grisham, thumbs up on O'Hearn, thumbs down-ish on Martinez. Again, not opposed to Martinez in general, but I just don't know that there's a fit. Do the Twins need a swingman? It never can hurt, the Jesse Chavez type of guy, but I don't know what that fit looks like. All right, before we get out of here, I want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned, or every morning because it got pretty late for Game 3. But we're rolling that until the World Series winner is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Elephant in the room is that the Twins are going to need relief help. Some of it, most of it, maybe all of it will come internally, but if they look externally, here are the relievers that were in the top 50 with if I think they could be a fit. This is the number they were at. Your mileage may vary, but relievers are tricky. I would hope the Twins are in the market for, even if it's someone like Taylor Rogers, just a veteran, durable guy, come in and take some of the pressure off a Pearson Ole or a Travis Adams. Kyle Finnegan was near the bottom, $6.25 million. Sure. The Twins don't necessarily have a closer. I don't know if they're going to necessarily care to name one, but if that's the case, you could do worse than Finnegan on a 1-year deal. Drew Pomeranz 1 year on $5 million, lefty with some good stuff. Got to see if he can stay healthy. If you want to go with more of a firm closer, Ryan Helsley, Bowden had at 1 year and $10 million. Luke Weaver as a buy low, 2 year and $20 million total. I could see that. There's some relievers that are as good as him getting, or at least one reliever that is as good as him, getting a lot more than that. If you think Weaver was tipping in October, then you really would love him at 2 and 20 million, because non-tipping Weaver is a fantastic reliever. So someone to consider. Devin Williams at 10 million for a year. Again, no gripes with that. Brad Keller, 2 years, 15 million. Sign me up. Emilio Pagan, 2 and 22. Again, no real problem. He was very, very good for the Reds. Raisel Iglesias, 2 for 24. Sure thing. I mean, it's really hard to say no to a reliever when you look at the state of the Twins bullpen. And I'm generally not in favor of spending a lot of money on relievers, but you have to build from the back forward, I think, with a solid bridge. You know, the solid bridge has to have all the pieces connected, but you got to start somewhere. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The last two, Tyler Rogers. Boy, Tyler Rogers is getting a lot of love out there, and I love Tyler Rogers. I just don't know. Like, I guess it's low velo, low arm slot, and they only have him signing for 1 year. It's $15 million, though. And Tyler Rogers is a very, very good reliever. I don't know if I want to give him $15 million. Maybe then I'm not in the market for a Tyler Rogers, and that's fine. But I'd probably be out on Tyler at 15 and in on Taylor at something like 5. And then finally, the best of the best, and he'll save the rest. Edwin Diaz, 4 years, 88 million. Absolutely not. No matter what team I'm at, I'm not giving $22 million to my closer for 4 years. So any of those relievers, sure, I doubt you'd sign 2. But again, if you get 1 or 2 big league caliber relievers, like nobody's a safe reliever, but a solid reliever. If you get 1 or 2 of those, suddenly, you know, you're cycling through Cody Funderburk as, you know, not your best guy, but your 3rd, 4th, 5th best guy or whatever. You're not going to get back to where you were a year ago, but you've started the process. And that's, I think, going to be key with this team. I think they have enough pitching. They could use a little more offense, starting pitching, I should say. And so bullpen and free agency, that's a very, very cringe combination, because spending a lot of money on the bullpen and free agency is very, very risky. But if you can find the right guys, like Luke Weaver, buy low on him, 2 and 20 for how good he can be would be a phenomenal deal. With that said, yeah, 2 of those guys, 1 of those guys, or 1 of those guys, and then 1 that's a little further down, like Taylor Rogers. And, you know, maybe you got a stew going, like Carl Weathers said. So I think, in general, I think the Twins can do this if you assume that they can spend anywhere from 30 to 40 million, which, you know, you cut the Correa money out of the budget and a few other guys who are going to be dipping off the 40-man roster. It's still doable. It's still definitely doable to be a team much better than this last year. Sheer attrition would help, you know, just because so many things went wrong last year that shouldn't have. All right. Well, what do you think? Do you think that Ryan O'Hearn makes sense? Do you think Trent Grisham makes sense? Nick Martinez? Or my list, Goldie, Andahar, Arise, Bieber, King, Gallen, any of those relievers? I want to hear from you. Make sure you post in the comments. Let me know where you stand on all of this. But for now, this is me saying I appreciate you greatly for hanging out. I appreciate you greatly for listen every day. I'm Brandon Warne signing off, saying thank you so much, or better yet, we will see you tomorrow night.